we have someone very special to come and kick off the race this year. Our 10-year anniversary for Try Louisville presented by Publix.
Yeah, I'm super excited. This is my 4th year, Joe, and I'm so happy we merged and I became part of Try Louisville. I love this race.
Do you think this is why we drink so much is because we merged? We don't drink a lot. Let's just...
No, we don't drink a lot. Only at this happy hour, but let's have a sip.
Yeah.
You've outdone yourself, Joe.
Cheers to Tennessee winning the national championship at the College World Series.
And cheers to a Vanderbilt alum congratulating you. I'm capable of that, as you know. It doesn't always get returned, Joe.
It does not, and I will learn from you.
We had to take a break from these national championships.
Well, we could talk all day long about Tennessee being the most dominant team in the history of college baseball this past season, but we won't. We will talk about...
We'll move on.
We will talk about the 2024 Try Louisville presented by Publix, which, again, we have these amazing, cool Publix towels in front of us that are serving as our coasters today. But Publix is on board for the first year with Louisville as our presenting sponsor. They just added a new grocery store in Louisville, the first grocery store for Publix in Louisville. So we're excited to welcome them on board.
Absolutely.
And
Louisville's so lucky. They're so lucky.
There's already been a number of athletes from Louisville that are super excited about Publix coming to Louisville. Yeah. So they'll be very successful.
Absolutely.
We talked about the 10-year anniversary. Big deal. This race wasn't always where it currently is on the shores of downtown Louisville in the gorgeous waterfront park. Before I took the race over, it was across the river in Indiana, actually, just across.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah, before my time. Yep.
And then I moved across the river into Louisville for a couple years before Above the Fold, my old company, took it over. We have a lot of fun things in store, obviously. We always do with this race, but being 10 years, we went kind of a little above and beyond this year.
Yeah.
So really excited about it.
I think we're, definitely above and beyond. Before we get any further, should we talk about what we're having as our happy hour drink?
We should, because it's the most popular discussion point that we have. But it's Louisville. And so what is Louisville known for?
It's bourbon, Joe.
It's bourbon. What else might Louisville be known for in terms of sporting events beyond Try Louisville?
Maybe horse racing.
Horse racing. Yeah. So when you go to a horse race, most people have big hats. And they're sipping on a mint julep.
A mint julep.
So we're drinking mint juleps here today. And the bourbon comes to us. We have a sampling of bourbon behind us. Not that we mixed them all together.
No.
But what's funny about
a bourbon suicide.
What's funny about these podcasts that we had no idea anybody would ever listen to, but surprisingly people are. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes, thank you.
But what's so funny is that the Convention and Visitor Bureau in Louisville has listened to our podcast. And they're like, will you showcase some of our bourbon? And we're like, absolutely.
Happy to do
We've been
it.
talking about getting a sponsor for this, and this is a pseudo sponsor, right?
Yeah. They donated the bourbon.
They donated all 3 of our bottles back here.
Yeah.
So today we're drinking from the Woodford Reserve, the Kentucky Derby 150 edition, which is a lovely bottle, nice bourbon. We also have a 4 Roses small batch and the Angel's Envy. So 3 amazing bourbons. And these 2 over here, the 4 Roses and the Angel's Envy.
Is there a plan for those, Joe? Is there a plan?
They will be given out to 2 lucky clubs that are participating. The winner of our club championship, which we'll talk about, will be receiving their choice of first bottle. They get first choice. And then I think the most spirited club, we should give the next bottle as well.
Absolutely.
So we'll have a little fun with our post-race party, which we'll be talking about. But let's dive right in. We've talked about our drink. We've talked about the 10-year anniversary. A lot of fun things to get into.
Yeah.
Big news with this race. This is likely in the next couple of days to completely sell out, which I've never been a part of a sellout race before. So this is super exciting, but biggest Try Louisville ever and a complete sellout.
Yeah, it's a complete sellout. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, fewer than 30 spots. How that works, people, in case you don't know, I mean, we work by transition area in terms of sellout typically. In this case, that's what's going on. So we have a transition space reserved and we can fit X amount of bikes in there. And this is the number.
We're going to hit it.
We're going to hit it. It's happening.
So I'm anticipating, we're recording this on a Tuesday before July 4th. I'm anticipating by the 4th, this race likely will be sold out.
I feel good about it.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Other kind of key highlights with this race is, once again, I think this is 3 or 4 years running now. So we're very honored to have USA Triathlon has awarded us a designation. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we are the Kentucky State Championship for the 4th year in a row. And what that means is it's a fast track to USA Triathlon's national championship race. It means a higher percentage of people, Joe, in their age group will qualify to go to nationals. Normally it's 10% in a USAT sanctioned race.
Yep.
But at a state championship, 35%.
That's good.
35% down deep in each age group. So it's a really good chance to qualify if you want to do that.
That's great.
Yeah.
They also send us some certificates and things. So all winners on the podium, 1 through 3, all age groups will be receiving a certificate.
Absolutely.
So kind of fun stuff with that. So we're excited to be acknowledged for that. And thank you, USA Triathlon, for showcasing Tri Louisville once again. This race, along with pretty much all of our other races, seems to be on a trend of somewhere between 20 to 25% of our athletes that race with us have never done a race before. And it holds true with Tri Louisville as well, as we have 21%.
21%
are coming to do their first race.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the new people. I love the enthusiasm. I love the anxiety that turns into enthusiasm. I love all of it.
So I hope she's listening to this, because we actually, just before we recorded, we had somebody come by our office, one of our athletes from one of our other races that had left something at a race.
Oh, yeah.
And she was telling me a story about how she signed up for the women's tri earlier this year, caught the bug, and instantly signed up for Music City.
Yes.
And now she's
2 weeks later, Joe.
And she's signing up for River Bluff. I suckered her into River Bluff out there in the hallway. So
the local trifecta. Hey, that was a spin to the horse racing, wasn't it? It's the bourbon. It's the mint julep.
Have you ever bet on horse racing?
I have not, but I'm not much of a gambler.
You've never
Joe.
made a single bet?
I'm not really a gambler.
No. Yeah. We're going to change that. I do a lot of betting. Not like life savings away and ruining relationships or anything, but I like to partake.
Yeah.
Do you remember a couple of years ago, we actually had a gambling site as our title sponsor for Chattanooga? Do you remember that?
You did.
You remember it was William Hill.
William, yes.
I think has since rebranded to Caesars Sportsbook.
They are. Yeah, they rebranded the year after.
I think, William Hill was just a 1-year deal.
Well, I mean, pretty much. I mean, if you title sponsor a Magic Sports race, I mean, people are looking to buy your company. I mean, you must be hot.
Are we for sale?
No, not us. The sponsors, Joe. The sponsors. We're not for sale, Joe.
We'll listen to offers, though, right?
Well, sure. We'll entertain them.
All right. Another thing, getting back on track here, which I love statistics of the participants that come to the races. We talked about first timers. One thing with Louisville, we have always tried to position Louisville as one of our big 4, like our big 3 urban races with Chattanooga and Nashville. Big 4 overall races with Alabama Coastal Triathlon at the Gulf Shores. And Louisville, we really want to kind of position that race in kind of that higher echelon status of participant numbers, but also just a grander feel with an urban feel.
Absolutely.
And so Louisville, we want to showcase this race to people beyond just people that live in Louisville or the greater Kentucky area. Yeah. And we're starting to get more eyeballs on this race, which is super exciting.
I love it.
And we have 30% of our athletes. It doesn't mean they're from out of town, but 30% of our athletes are staying in a hotel in Louisville.
Oh, well, that's a pretty good. They're far enough away. They're going to book a hotel. That's a decent number.
Maybe that's why we got all this bourbon from the CVB.
Well, let's see what we can do to even
hotel
increase that number more. Yeah, maybe we need to outgrow our space, and
that's true.
Let's work on that.
Yeah. There's an elephant in the room with this race, and I think it's a good thing, which is Ironman.
Oh, yeah.
Ironman has returned to Louisville with the 70.3 taking place next month in August.
Yep.
Which they've been gone for a number of years. They've returned. And we view ourselves as kind of the perfect tune-up race for that race. We use a lot of their course, same venue. So I think we're seeing a little bit of the opportunity that they're providing us with people wanting to come and check out the course in advance. So we'll take advantage of that all day long.
I think we do. We might make some little jokes about the small company that Ironman is and their impact on the industry. It's a good thing. We work together. We feed people their way and they feed people back our way, Joe. Totally. People go do Ironman for a while and are like, you know what, I still want to do tries, but I don't have the time to expend in that, or maybe just the longer distance doesn't work for me physically anymore. And we're still here to welcome them back. And I think it's a good partnership of sorts in the industry. And you know what we've seen, Joe? We've seen a big jump in the Olympic. because of that.
A massive jump.
Which is good, and that's good for Ironman too. And we're
Totally.
helping them by getting people into some longer distances before they do their 70.3, which I think racing before you do a 70.3 or full iron is so important. And they appreciate us sending them people with some experience.
Agreed. And they've been nice ever since they announced. They have done some outreach efforts with us, so we're appreciative of that. And
for sure.
we're excited about the future of that 70.3 in town, kind of coexisting with us. All right, so we're going to talk a lot more about the race itself and a lot of the fun things we have in store, which we do have a lot of fun things in store. But we're going to start actually with something that years ago, when I first took over Tri Louisville, there was a kids race attached to this race.
Oh, yeah.
The Cool Kids Triathlon.
I love the name.
A Cool Kids Triathlon. It was the Children's Orthopedic something of Louisville.
Yeah.
Children Orthopedics of Louisville, I guess, which is cool. And they would, we being Above the Fold, we owned and produced this race. And Children's Orthopedic of Louisville was our title sponsor. And when COVID hit, that race went away, unfortunately, and we were not going to, unfortunately, be bringing that back. But we are super excited to have been working closely with Norton over these last couple of years, and they have some amazing people on staff that didn't want to see that race go away either.
Yeah.
So they're actually bringing that race back, and are going to organize it themselves with the support of us, with some assistance with crew and some equipment needs. But they're bringing that race back.
I love it. Let's get the next generation, Joe.
Yeah.
We got to get them in.
So
let's do it.
Norton, who is our official hydration sponsor of Tri Louisville, they're going to be putting on this race on the day before Tri Louisville on July 13th.
Yeah.
Open for kids age 6 through 14. It's at the venue that we used originally, which is the Mary T. Maher. I always want to say Meager, but it's actually Maher Aquatic Center.
Yeah.
Cool little venue there. So you can find more information about that on our site.
Yeah,
and we hope that a lot of our racers have kids that come with you, and you introduce them to the sport.
Bring them in with you, and introduce them to the sport. In any sport, honestly, let's keep them active.
I know
we want them to do triathlon, but let's just get them out there running, biking, swimming, whatever they end up doing is great, right?
Fun story about the Cool Kids Triathlon. Do we have time for one quick story?
Yeah.
Okay. So, 2019. The year was 2019. And
proceed.
It might have been. Actually, the year was 2018. It was 2018.
It's getting more exciting.
Yes.
Diving into history, Joe.
We were at the Mary T. Maher facility.
You like saying that, don't you?
And we had at the time the University of Louisville football coach, name you might remember, Bobby Petrino. Do you remember Bobby Petrino?
Yeah.
I don't know how many of our listeners care about college football. We clearly care about it.
Yeah.
Bobby Petrino, he's got a little checkered past to him, right?
Indeed.
We won't get into the checkered past. But at the time, he was a highly regarded, he was kind of on the downfall from a lot of his scandals, but he was still a high quality offensive-minded coach. And Louisville was succeeding pretty well. So anyways, he came to the race. He was like our race celebrity.
Oh, wow.
Of sorts. And he was there. And at the time, I think we all know that I'm a Tennessee fan right now. And at the time, Tennessee was in the process of looking for their coach at that time. They've gone through a lot of coaching changes at that point.
Yeah.
So I went up to Bobby Petrino and I said, whispered in his ear, I was like, would you have taken Tennessee's job if they would have offered it to you? And he leaned over to me and he said, if they would have called, I would have listened.
It's fantastic.
Thank God they did not hire him.
I love that you went up and did that.
But I did ask him. I've got a picture with him, which I don't have in a frame because that's not something you really want.
No.
Okay, where were we?
Well, we talked about Cool Kids, which we want people to check out. Yeah. And next, let's talk about our cool packet pickup location for Saturday. It's a new sponsor of ours, a new really cool thing at our venue.
This is something that's been needed for years.
Take it,
and
we were just there.
We were just there.
Yeah.
There is a building that's been sitting empty for ever since I've been involved with this race, right by our finish line. It had many names, Tumbleweeds, some other Mexican restaurant of some sort, but over the last probably decade, it's been nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's just been sitting empty, and we've always wished and hoped that something would enter that building and be an awesome, cool thing for our race. And sure enough, Pig Beach Barbecue
out of Brooklyn, New York. That's their home base. There's only 4 locations, Joe. 4 total locations. West Palm Beach, Louisville, Kentucky. Where's the other? Maybe there's 3.
2 in New York, maybe.
Maybe there's 2 in New York. Yeah.
Well, anyways,
I think of the other one. Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's so good.
And they're so nice.
So nice.
What great hosts.
And the venue is incredible. Like we sat on the patio overlooking the Ohio River and our finish line, and it's gorgeous. If it's a nice, beautiful day, there's nothing better than sit out there on that patio.
Yeah.
So anyways, they are open, and they are going to be open on race weekend for us. And we're going to be hosting packet pickup inside the restaurant on Saturday from 2 to 5 p.m. on Saturday, July 13th, upstairs.
Upstairs. Great view. It's a fantastic view.
Private spot for us.
Private spot. It's just us up there.
And
our vendors.
And our vendors will be up there as well. And we're encouraging everybody to come and do the packet pickup and arrive and check in your bikes. But also they have some specials they're offering, which we'll be sending out in our pre-race emails about it.
Mm-hmm.
But low-cost beer,
Yep.
tacos, things like that. So I'm super excited about
And
that.
when you hear Pig Beach and you think barbecue, I mean, you may be vegan, you may be vegetarian. They have options, so don't rule it out. They're actually very savvy to that, and mentioned that right away in our first meeting with them.
Yeah.
So they realize our crowd, and they are catering to that crowd too. And that's a regular on their menu, not just for our crowd.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
So some fun stuff in store for Pig Beach. They're going to be open on race day as well, opening a little early for us so spectators have a chance to go in and enjoy it. And then post-race food, if somebody wants to hang out for additional lunch, you can do that. One special thing, which we'll have more information about as well, is he came up to our table when we were there last week. You remember this? And he's like, I got something extra I'm going to provide you guys.
This is good. Go, Joe.
So
we need to cheers
speaking
to
of
this.
bourbon, we don't have all the details yet, but post-race for the first, he didn't tell us how many people yet. He's going to get us that. But for X number of people, he's going to be doing a free whiskey sampling, bourbon sampling.
Yep.
That you can go and have a free sampling. So super cool about that.
So come early.
Come early.
If you
Finish
want,
fast.
assuming you want bourbon, come early.
So that'll be fun. Thank you, Big Beach, for that.
Yeah.
Also that day on July 13th, this is the Saturday, pack and pickup day.
Yep.
We have a race overview meeting at 4:00 that day. We'll be doing it we'll most likely do it outside near transition, most likely.
We'll do that at the transition area so we can talk about the flow.
So that's always really, really beneficial to everybody, but especially those that have A, never done a race, or B, never been to Try Louisville before. It's a fantastic opportunity to kind of learn more about the flow and then ask questions.
Ask questions.
Yep.
Yeah. We love questions. Yeah, absolutely. Please come to that meeting if you can make the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tri clubs. This race is huge when it comes to local triathlon club support. They do an amazing job. There's a number of them in Kentucky and Ohio that come down and participate in this race. Some nationwide clubs that have kind of selected Try Louisville as a club race for there, where they travel in for it, which is exciting.
Yeah.
But we have a really fun post-race party area where clubs can set up tents, and we encourage clubs to come out on Saturday, go ahead and stake their spot, and get ready for the party on Sunday.
It's the best vibe. That's the other thing. When I said I was so happy to be part of this after we merged, I think that's a big part of the vibe. Is I love the club activity. I mean, and it's not just the clubs, but they create an atmosphere I think that everyone enjoys. So not just the club members, but everyone feels the vibe, right? Even if they're not part of the clubs. It's good.
And we're going to get into that too, because we'll get into it later. There's a lot to talk about there. So race morning, we've now moved on into race morning. Try Louisville is fun in many aspects, but one, we offer a duathlon at this race, which isn't offered at all other Magic Sports races.
That's right.
And this isn't just one we pop up just to pop up and hope we get 6 or 7 people to.
Right.
We usually get pretty good turnout for this one, and it's a legitimate duathlon.
It's a legitimate do with an actual run, bike, run. At all of our races, by the way, if you're listening to this and have never participated, we always have a bike run option, and we always have an aqua bike option, so swim bike and bike run. But we have 2 races with a duathlon. And Joe, I don't know if you know this, but going to the pool, I mean, I'm an average swimmer, but
Wait, what? I think this is the first time I've ever heard you say anything about your athletic achievements that was not
it's not
podium finish.
It's just not efficient. It's not an efficient workout. I like to walk out of my house and go biking and running, but going to a pool takes time. So it's just hard for me, Joe. So duathlon is really right up my alley. So there's a chance one of these days I'll jump into one of these duathlons.
This will be the race.
And duathlons are hard.
Duathlons are very hard. I mean, to imagine out of the gates, just sprinting a run, and then I don't know.
Yeah, it's for crazy people like me.
So this might be another topic in the future, is duathlon in the past, because you've had stories about prior to my time in the sport, how big duathlon used to be.
Massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
We'll talk about
essentially
that later.
flip-flopped. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So race morning parking
Mhm.
in Waterfront Park. There's a lot of lots around Waterfront Park. As long as you get there before the race starts, there's plenty of parking. It's very easy to get around in Waterfront Park and around that area. So just be on the lookout for our pre-race emails about parking options.
Yeah.
And then also once the race starts, it's very difficult to access the venue once the race starts because we shut down the road in front of the venue. But we do have ways to access for spectators. So
Yeah.
we can also talk about that as well in our pre-race email. So know that spectators can still arrive.
Yeah.
You got to do a little bit of walking, but there is still access points.
There's access points. It's one of those courses. You have to cross the bike course to get to the venue from most of the parking areas unless you're there early. And don't park somewhere that it says no parking, because if it says no parking, that means it's part of your course. And please tell your family that too. Even if you make your way in, if it's obvious there's no other cars parked on the road, don't park there. It's a thing. People do it.
We're sheep.
It's like,
we're very much like sheep.
Why is no one parking? But also, why is no one parking here? This looks like a great spot.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah. I have a note here to talk about porta potties, which is a weird topic to talk about, but I feel like we need to talk about it a little bit.
I mean, that could go in a lot of directions, but let's just keep it clean.
They will be clean when they
Yes,
arrive.
in fact, some really clean.
This race, we talked a little bit about the club participation, and it's more than other races in the sense that there's a handful of clubs, and let's just call them out right now because they've been tremendous supporters of Magic Sports and Tri-Louisville. Our defending club champion Tri-Loco is about as good as they get when it comes to they race hard, they party hard. And they support every single one of their athletes and every single athlete at that race better than anybody, where they hang out the entire club till the end celebrating.
They do. And they volunteer, Joe. I mean, they're not just racing, they're out there volunteering. They're fantastic. Yeah.
Louisville Land Sharks, they generally have the most athletes that come out to this race. They are the local club there that generates sometimes over 100 athletes that come to this race just from their club alone. Yeah. Tremendous supporters. And then the club that's joining us for year number 2 is kind of a dedicated travel race for them, a nationwide club of women called Fast Chicks.
I know.
That's coming to join us again for year 2. So we're excited to welcome Fast Chicks. But anyways, those 3 clubs, we want to do a little something special for them just because they have so many people and support us so much that we are once again doing kind of a dedicated restroom trailer for them. So an air-conditioned, clean restroom trailer.
I think it's a fair exchange. You know, they really do a lot for us in encouraging their members to come and race. And what a compliment from the Fast Chicks. You come one year and it's like they could choose any race in the country.
I know.
And they choose several races throughout the year. But in terms of, you know, like iconic events they chose us 2 years in a row.
I know.
Yeah, we won them over. It makes me feel very, very happy.
They fit with us too.
Yeah, they do.
I think they also fit with Tri-Loco. They kind of have some fun.
Oh, yeah. Some little bantering going on. It's good. Good banter. Very good banter.
All right. So there's a lot of details that goes into the race and race logistics leading up to it. We won't get into the weeds on that. So let's get into the fun stuff of like race morning. We're about to start the race. One of our exciting announcements that we did on social media already, but we're going to talk about it here, is we have someone very special to come and kick off the race this year, where we talked about the Kentucky Derby earlier. And if you can picture the Kentucky Derby, I think it's NBC always shows the Kentucky Derby and beautiful scenes of Churchill Downs. And they always pan over right before the race where Steve Buttleman, the bugler for Churchill Downs, goes up there and does the call to post. So Steve will be coming to Tri-Louisville to do not only the national anthem for us, but he's also going to do the call to post for the start of the race.
It's just so fantastic.
I got chills just thinking about it.
I know.
How cool.
It's just the coolest. And I mean, even people that don't there are people that follow kind of like they know what's going on at Derby, like, but they really know about the mint juleps. And they know about him.
Speaking of, this is really good.
I told you in the beginning, you've outdone yourself. It's really tasty.
Okay, so Steve does his shtick with the bugle. We're all pumped and excited, and then we start the race. 7:15 in the morning. I'll be down at the swim start, kicking the Olympic people. That swim start going.
Yep.
You're going to be up at the finish line arch starting the duathlon.
Yep.
At 7:15.
Yep.
They're going to be entering the water, and then roughly 8 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be starting our sprint racers.
Yep.
One note for sprint race: this is a little bit longer of a swim than our typical sprint races, but it's a very easy swim.
It's an easy
generally
swim.
speaking, for
it's
a
almost
river
a
swim.
canal. Wouldn't you call it almost?
It's a canal.
It's a canal.
Yeah.
Let's just call it. Yeah.
Beautiful little swim there. We start from the marina,
Super
short
calm.
walk up from the transition area.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I would do that swim.
I think you would do well.
I mean,
it's a very shallow swim, so it's not real deep.
Okay, let's come back to average. Okay, I know how to swim, Joe. It's just, I don't put a lot of time into being fast. I don't need to stand up.
One of our next races actually has a swim where you can pretty much stand up the entire time,
which has always been known as one of the best beginner or first triathlete races ever. Gunnersville. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Cliffhanger. All right. So all the race stuff, we won't go into it. The course is the same as last year. If you've done Tri Louisville last year, pretty much the exact same. I can't think of any differences.
There's no differences from last year. The only thing I would say about the course to newcomers is it's fantastic. If I'm racing it, I race on a road bike versus a tri bike if you have the option. Just because it's a circuit loop. I mean, it's 2 loops for the sprint and 4 loops for the Olympic. So handling skills are important. And let's just reflect back on safe passing and things like that real quick about the course. Because it is a course with laps. Mm-hmm. Let's be respectful of people when you pass them. There will be passing. It's just the way it is. It's a 4-loop course, but it's so fun. I want to race this race. I'm getting more excited about it.
It's downtown Louisville. Completely closed down.
It's completely closed down. Wild? It's so cool. And the run is in this beautiful waterfront park. Okay, I haven't talked enough about the waterfront park. Katie would love me for this.
Yes.
So
Katie Nelson from
Waterfront Park. It's amazing, Katie. I love your park.
I was going to go somewhere with lower fees, maybe.
Ooh.
Could we?
I was doing
sponsorship.
I was doing that more of a subtle way.
Okay, I just went right in for it. We'll send this to her.
Okay.
All right. So post race, we're now on the fun part. We've gotten through the race. Everybody's happy. Now we're celebrating. Post race party, which we've hinted at a little bit, is a lot of fun. People hang around, have a great time. We've got really fun medals this year. Everybody gets a shirt. The vibe with food, and we have beer coming this year from Mile Wide Brewery, which we should have talked about earlier, actually. If we had a beer option, if we lived in Louisville, we would have brought back some Mile Wide. But Mile Wide is our official beer partner for this race, and they're going to be on site providing some free pours for our athletes. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
Also, the awards ceremony this year is, if people that are watching this live with us on YouTube, not live, but watching us on YouTube, you've noticed the 3 bats on our table. So we're excited about our partnership with the Louisville Slugger Factory and Museum, which has been a partner and sponsor of this race essentially since its inception. And has really helped out with some cool, unique awards that are, emblematic of Louisville. And so this year we have some really cool 10-year anniversary bats that are going to our overall winners in both the sprint race, Olympic race, and the duathlon. And this year, all 3 of those are the full-size bats this year. So they're beautiful bats, all full size, going to our overall winners.
Yeah.
One update on awards.
We're keeping the theme. We're still in the
kind of the baseball theme and the Louisville Slugger theme. Is just an update from the factory is we've always had the mini bats as our age group awards, where they've been able to customize the mini bats.
And they're fun. They're really fun.
They're super fun. They've been offered every year. And unfortunately, sadly, but understandable, businesses change. They no longer customize mini bats.
Yeah.
So they're only sold there in the factory, and they don't do them as anything beyond just factory tour stuff.
Right.
So we can no longer do any sort of customized mini bat. So we sadly will not have the mini bats for anybody, but we do have another option for our awards, which we're excited about, that keeps the baseball theme with a cool, it's hard to kind of describe on a podcast here, but it's a pennant, essentially kind of a baseball pennant that we all grew up with. Something fun that everybody can have and showcase in their office or wherever.
Yeah.
And it's got some cool color schemes and things to it. So it'll be fun.
I think they'll like it.
It's fun. Yeah. It's fun. Okay. Last thing I kind of wanted to talk about, and I'm sure there's others we could talk about, is to go back to that club competition.
Yeah.
We do club competitions at most of our races, but none seem to have what this one does when it comes to club competition. The Louisville Land Sharks and the Tri-Loco clubs years ago were, battling it out for this club competition, and they developed their own trophy for it. And it's been a big deal over the years, and it still is. Yeah. Tri-Loco has won many of the last years, leading up to this year's race. But it's just fun for the spirit of the competition.
Absolutely.
And we continue with a trophy, and it gets engraved every year, and it gets passed down. So we're excited about that. And we always do that at the end of the awards ceremony.
Yeah.
So just,
Stick
for those that
around.
are listening,
Yeah.
stick around for the end of that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's a great tradition. I
It's a
love
good
it. I
tradition.
love a good tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun.
It's been fun. You sure we're not, we're good? We're not missing anything?
I'm sure there's other things. And so the beauty of this is this will be shared on our socials and our emails. And if people have questions, they can always contact us and we'll answer them.
Contact us. Look at the website. Read your pre-race emails. They're full of great content. I know when you get those, you might say, "Oh, I'll read that later." No, give them a shot. There's some good stuff in there.
So we've done 3 now. We've had Bearded Iris, beer, an IPA.
Yep.
We've had a gin and tonic.
Yeah.
Which was for our Chattanooga Waterfront Triathlon.
We had a gin from Chattanooga, distilled in
and
Chattanooga.
now we've done our mint juleps for Dry Louisville. So if you had a favorite, what would it be?
Ooh, that's tough. Wow. I'm just gonna say, Joe, I don't drink a lot of bourbon, and I love this.
I was gonna say the same thing.
I may be making a turn.
I don't make a lot of mint juleps. But I'm pretty proud.
It's really good. It's really tasty.
Well, cheers to a successful podcast. We are excited about July 14th.
Super excited.
2 days before my birthday, I just realized. Should we do a little birthday celebration out there for me?
Yeah, we should. Of course we should.
Right.
You know what? Should we do one last call out? You know what? If people are if traveling with racers, or if there's locals that are listening to this and you want to volunteer, we still have some volunteer spots open.
Excellent.
And they're at cool spots too, like the transition area, which is high action all the time, Joe.
Transition area is a fantastic one. But the beauty of this race too is it's a very small footprint race. So you're not like way out in the boonies.
No, you don't feel isolated anywhere. And that's where the need is. Is it transition area and
run course. So kind of some turn by turn directional people. So we call them sentries. Got some needs there, but there's other spots as well. So
they're staying in a beautiful park, Joe. We talked about the park.
Almost always shaded. It's fantastic. So if you want to volunteer with us, which we hope you do, and there's also discounted race opportunities for those that do race with us, or volunteer with us. To check out. You can check us out at magicsportsusa.com.
Yep, absolutely. Check us out.
All right. Cheers, Faye.
Cheers.
Nice job.
Nice job.
We'll be back for our next race, which is
Mountain Lakes Triathlon, 37th year, Joe.
Nice.